Hey, welcome back to the channel, Weather Junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, bringing you a weather update without all the social media hype here on your Friday, August 30th. Hard to believe we're already here into your Labor Day weekend. Let's go ahead and take a look at those latest weather headlines here for your Friday as, again, the tropics are brewing. In fact, we're looking at the potential for three potential development areas out in the Atlantic as we move into the month of September. We're talking about some early temperature changes. Yeah, a little early taste of fall for some portions of the country as we get ready to flip into the new month of September. And then we're also going to take a more detailed look at your Labor Day weekend forecast. If you have any plans, any beaches, any destinations, we'll get a little more of a deep dive on that as well. Now, before we get into this episode here, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider it. It'd be an honor and a pleasure to be one of your weather sources. So if you could please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And of course, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. It does help with the YouTube algorithm as we try to grow the channel to help better serve you. All right, let's take a look at this morning satellite imagery. We got some clouds across up near the northeast here for this morning. Got a cold front here across the middle of the country. Stormy, rainy conditions here along the Gulf Coast from Louisiana, stretching back over toward Houston right now. Most of the west is looking high and dry, but boy, this is where the heat's really going to be building in over the weekend. That is for sure. Let's look at that surface map again. We've got that cold front slamming down into the middle portion of the country here, and look at the 40s and 50s back behind here. Very warm 70s here. Got a little bit of cooler air across portions of the northeast, but it'll be this front that may set up some more severe weather possible across portions of the Great Lakes for today. Nothing as robust as what we've seen the last couple of days, but this will be moving off toward the east here. And again, things will be heating up here out in the west. They've had a nice little break, had some cooler temperatures out here. They're not bad this morning, but they're definitely going to be heating up through the weekend. So say goodbye to that fall-like weather they've been seeing out here toward the west. Pretty quiet here on the current hazards map. Again, I've been highlighting the fact the heat's returning. Look, you got the heat advisories already coming back up here for Washington, Idaho, and into Oregon. Just a couple spots here. And of course, they've had some very heavy rains down along the Louisiana coastline and over toward Mississippi over the last couple of days. In fact, yesterday they had some areas getting 3 to 4 inches of rain. And it looks like that's once again in the cards for this afternoon along the Gulf Coast. Kind of highlighting one of our triple spots here for this morning. We got some rain here associated with that cold front in the middle of the country, kind of coming in toward the Kansas City metroplex here for this morning. So this rains will be pushing off to the east, about 20, 25 miles per hour here. Just some moderate rains in here, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder, but hopefully won't be too big of a problem for the folks here to start their Friday morning. I know a lot of folks getting on the roads, getting ready for that Labor Day weekend. Our weather city of the day. Hey, I thought we'd start out. How about Hollywood Beach, Florida? Looking pretty good here for today as we're looking at some pretty decent weather. That looks gorgeous. What a shot. Great day to start your day there. We're looking at pretty good beach weather. Looking for a high temperature day of 87 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Just a slight risk of a shower or a thunderstorm. And if you would like to have your city highlighted as the weather city of the day, all you got to do is please post down below a webcam link and we will consider it for a future broadcast. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the severe weather outlook here for the next 3 days from the Storms Prediction Center. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. Again, we're focusing on areas there kind of around the Great Lakes area. That's what we're kind of looking at for right now. So let me go ahead and kick into this one. We'll kind of highlight some of the issues that you got to deal with here. Again, just that slight risk of small little slither there across portions of Michigan here expected for this afternoon. So shouldn't be too big of a deal. As we look at the breakdown as far as the different categories here, again, the tornado risk is going to be pretty low. That little green spot there near the city of Detroit. Again, but the bigger threat's going to be going into your hail. A little bit bigger area there stretching back from Michigan, going back toward areas of Missouri. And your wind threat generally in the same spot. So that's what we'll be looking for as far as your severe weather is concerned. You got a little pocket right here and a little one down here toward the Carolinas and back toward extreme northeast Georgia expected for today. Those will be your areas of concern. Let's go ahead and take a look at that day 2 outlook here as we can ship that off toward the east. Gets a little more problematic here for the northeast as we head into your Saturday. So if you have any travel destinations taking you up into the areas of the northeast portion of the United States, you may have to watch out for that as we got a little bigger area of severe weather there, that slight risk there coming into New York, Pennsylvania, parts of New Jersey, Maryland, West Virginia, and Virginia. As we're going to be watching that cold front, that'll be kind of sliding through here. So that's what's going to be setting that severe weather off here for Saturday. And as we look at your day 3 outlook here as well, still holding on along the northeast corridor from the northeast, stretching back down into areas of the mid-Atlantic, so in getting into areas of the southeast a little bit down into the Carolinas. So right along the coastal areas, we'll be going right through here as we'll get that cooler air that's going to be filtering in here from the west to east, moving in. Northeast is going to be looking very, very nice, especially heading into, say, Labor Day itself, as that cooler weather kind of moves into that area. So not looking bad. Again, I think the most problematic day is going to be for your Saturday, with that increased risk of severe weather looking there for your Saturday. So recapping for your day 1 outlook here for today, again, the main cities of concern are going to be Detroit and Warren, Michigan, Sterling Heights, Flint, and Ann Arbor, Michigan. That's where that slight risk is going to be. So kind of a small corridor there. Marginal would include Chicago, Indianapolis, Columbus, Charlotte, and Cleveland. And the big threat's going to be, the main threat's going to be the wind areas. That's going to include, again, Detroit, that yellow area there, those areas that kind of highlight your slight risk. And then other areas, including Cleveland and Charlotte, again, that marginal risk. That's where the best chance of seeing some potential wind damage there for today on your Friday. All right, we're going out of the tropics. We're getting into the meat of the hurricane season. The peak of the hurricane season is less than 2 weeks away, September the 10th. This is our hot zone. Those areas out there in red, that is going to be of concern. And that area is what's starting to get going right now. We've had a couple of changes from yesterday late into today. In fact, these 2 areas, to give an idea, the one there and out ahead of it there was showing, in the orange, was showing a 50% chance of development last night. They downgraded it down to 40. So it's going to be a little bit slow to get organized. And I don't see anything developing until it gets well into the Caribbean, the way things are looking. The one behind it is showing a 20% chance. And then there's another area that we're going to have to watch behind that could come off the African coast. So we're going to be looking right now 2, again, potentially going to 3 as we go into next week. So nothing in it for the next 7 days. This is your 2-day and 7-day outlook here. Again, next 2 days pretty quiet. 7 days starts to kick up just a little bit. The question is, when are we going to get Francine? Francine, possibly Gordon. So those are the 2 that we're looking here next on the name list here for the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Right now, as you take a look at the satellite imagery out there, not looking too bad currently. So we're looking at this wave right here, and then we're looking at this one back behind it. These are the 2 that we're looking at right now. Got some thunderstorms blowing here off the Bahamas right now, but that's not expected to show any signs of development right now, but something to watch over the next few days. Sometimes you can get something to spin off. If thunderstorms can sit over a area of water for a while, sometimes you can get something to potentially spin up. But right now, not expecting anything as these waves continue to move off to the west, noticeably slower than what they were doing earlier. And what that tells me is the high pressure ridge to the north, not nearly as strong as it was before. When it's really strong, these waves can really race at a pretty good speed, and we're not seeing that. And slower as far as development is a good thing for development, because the slower they are, the warmer the slower they are over very warm water, and they get a better chance of development. So that forward speed does make a bit of a difference there. So here is the ESANS ensemble here. It's kind of a variety of models kind of tracking. Again, we're looking at 3 different areas of concern that we're kind of watching there. Again, you kind of see, I clearly eyeball that. You got 1, you get 2, and then you got your 3. So you got the 3 different areas there that we're watching. The one that we're most concerned about, obviously, is this one here that is going to track through the Caribbean. And where does it make its turn? Okay, where does it go ahead and has the best threat to impact the continental United States? It's the one out in front. The other 2 behind it look like they're going to stay mostly out into the Atlantic. But the one out ahead of this one, which is most likely to become Francine, has the best chance to potentially come into the Gulf of Mexico, make a turn. Again, a lot of unknowns on this, so continue to stay here for updates. I'll continue to keep you updated on how this system progresses as we get into next week. That's when things are going to get crazy. So here is the latest on the European model. Remember yesterday, the European model was actually kicking off a potential hurricane getting close to the island of Jamaica. Now it is backed off, and a part of that is because it looks like the track's a little bit further to the south. It doesn't show anything even getting close to development here until it gets all the way to the end of this run. This is the wave here as we go into your Thursday, just passing to the south of the island of Jamaica right there, going into next week. And then as it gets closer to the Yucatan Peninsula, then it starts to show something development very close, very far south So again, it's not unusual to see this kind of oscillation between the models until we get an established depression. Once we get that low-level circulation going, the models will get a better idea of what you can expect with the system as it progresses off toward the west. So look for changes, look for updates. Again, no imminent hurricane expected. Labor Day weekend's looking good, and we'll have a better idea as to how things are going to turn out when we get into early next week. So stay tuned for those updates. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to the continental United States. Let's talk about what we're expecting weather-wise here across the U.S. as we go throughout this Labor Day weekend. Obviously, we've got the cold front that's coming into the middle of the country here for this afternoon. That'll be setting up this weather here. So we've got this cold front coming down here. We're not going to get a big plunge of the temperatures just yet. That'll be kind of slow to come in here as we go into next week. But it'll be the first of the initial cool downs that are going to be coming in to the U.S. there. So again, watch that timestamp there in your upper right-hand corner as we go ahead and watch this come on through, going into your Saturday afternoon here. We see that front kind of lining up, coming into the northeast, stretching back in toward Texas there. The cool air is starting to filter itself in here across the northern tier of the United States and kind of coming in toward the Great Lakes as we go into your Saturday. So let's go ahead and clear that out. I'll change my color palette here to black here, make it a little easier to see it. So let's go ahead and continue this forward again as we go into your day on your Sunday. Looking very nice here, very dry across the west. The west is looking pretty good here for your Sunday, although temperatures out here are going to be getting quite warm indeed. The high plains and into the Midwest will be looking pretty good there, not looking too bad. But again, some unsettled weather for the Northeast here going into Sunday, as well as watching the rain chances increase across the Southeast, where especially across Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, definitely needing the rain. There's been some very high drought conditions here, very low rainfall amounts over the last, say, month or so. So the need of rainfall there. So the Northeast clears out, and going into your Labor Day weekend, you got a nice little plunge, some cool air that's kind of filtering in here across New England. That's going to feel very, very nice throughout the day on Monday. In fact, some areas of upstate New York may not even get out of the 60s for daytime highs. Give you an idea how that's going to look. That's going to feel pretty good indeed. All right, let's go ahead and take you on back again. Folks will be traveling back on your Labor Day again. Only place you have to worry about any precipitation being a problem is going to be, again, the southeast, stretching back toward Texas and Florida. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Could see some travel problems there for you as you're heading on back, but otherwise, not looking too bad here as we continue into next week. So we'll go ahead and follow this on through. Again, high pressure and control across the Northeast, looking pretty good there. Pretty quiet except for areas along the Texas Gulf Coast, continuing with the wet trend they've had there for a little while. And looks like another system coming down here as we head toward Thursday. Here comes another cold front right through here as we get another shot of some cool air coming in here across the high plains as we go into Thursday of next week. And as we finish out the 10-day here, we'll track that frontal system, again, coming back into New England here. Looks like something tries to spin up here along the Gulf Coast. We'll have to watch this closely. At least the European model here is taking some energy here down here from the south and kind of bring it northward here along that boundary. So we'll have to watch that closely to see how that does as far as interaction with potential thunderstorms and things like that. So again, watch that time cue here as we watch that energy go up the eastern seaboard. It spins up an area of low pressure there. I don't think it'll be tropical. That should be just an area of low pressure interacting with that cold front coming on in, and a nice little cool shot here coming down in here going into the following week, going into September the 8th, which happens to be my daughter's birthday. Got a nice little cool spot here coming down here. And I'll show you the climate outlook here, kind of reflecting that as well, with that nice little cool shot coming down here on your 10-day behind that system. And then, of course, we'll be looking down south to see if we get anything tropical to get into the Gulf of Mexico and along the eastern seaboard as we go beyond the 10-day. Again, 10 days about as far out as I like to go when it comes to actual model data, because it just becomes like a set of dominoes. The further out in time you go, the greater the errors are. So we'll keep it to about a 10-day window there. Let's go ahead and switch over to temperatures. Let's talk about temperatures and see how that is going to progress for you here as I switch models over here as we go take a look at the temperature map. Now, the one thing you're going to notice is it's going to be a little steamy and hot again here for your Friday afternoon. A lot of 90s here across Ohio, stretching back toward Kentucky, obviously back toward Texas, the southeast, 96 in Montgomery looking hot, 95 there in Macon. And the heat is definitely building out here in the west, the desert southwest. and starting to get some 90s going back into Oregon, and that's just going to be going up throughout the weekend. So again, watch that timestamp in the upper right-hand corner as we go ahead and step you through there into your Saturday afternoon. We'll stop it into your Saturday afternoon time period here. Again, looking at 94 out here in the West Coast here as we're getting those warmer readings out here. 96 near Sacramento, so getting very warm out here in the west. Still steamy across the southeast into the 90s across Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas, but noticeably cooler here in the Ohio River Valley. We'll definitely take this. Hitting into around 82 in Columbus. That looks pretty good. Look at Harrisburg at 78 as well. So in Pennsylvania, so we're getting a nice little bit of a reprieve from that extreme heat. Going into your Sunday afternoon highs, again, looking pretty hot and steamy across the southeast, really building up the heat here in the west. You see 99 into Idaho, 95, 94, 98 into Washington, so expect a lot of heat advisories out here on your Sunday for the western states as they really start to heat up the interior valleys of California, seeing 100-degree temperatures there. You want to cool off, we'll go to the high plains. We'll talk about 72 degrees. Talk about a perfect day there in Minneapolis there on your Sunday afternoon. And as we wrap up your Labor Day weekend, we'll take this into Labor Day again. We're talking about temperatures here in the 90s. We're starting to warm up here on the foothills. The west is going to be definitely going to see temperatures running above average here. So as we get that cool air kind of filtering across the east, the west is going to be warm. It'll be cooler down here into the eastern portion of the United States. But as you can see for your Labor Day, not looking too bad. The Northeast especially looking very nice indeed, into the 60s as we were talking about. 65 near Buffalo for an afternoon high. That's looking pretty decent indeed. 70s across the Great Lakes and through the Midwest and the High Plains looking very good. So this area in here is definitely my breadbasket winner as far as temperatures are concerned for your going into your Memorial Day weekend. Looking very nice indeed. Let's go ahead and track that cool shot now as we were just talking about that. So we're going to watch the timestamp there as we're going to watch this next cold front come on down. So I'm going to go ahead and take this all the way out. We were kind of highlighted the Labor Day forecast here, but we're going to have another cool shot that's going to kind of come down here as we go toward the tail end of this run. It's quite significant there, and you can see that very well here as we go toward the end of the week on your Friday. You notice these temperatures really start to drop off as we're looking at that cold, another cold front coming down, seeing temperatures in the 50s and 40s here for morning lows. And as we progress here through the rest of this model run, this is really going to start making its presence felt here as we look in toward going into Sunday morning. Look at these temperatures here into the deep south, falling into the 50s, 56 in Atlanta, 57 in Birmingham. That's a nice fall-like air going into the next week. A lot of 40s in here, 55 in Chicago. So we got a pretty nice fall-like air mass that's going to come in here across the eastern third of the United States as we go into the following weekend after Labor Day. So it'll be kind of steamy for you folks in the southeast for obviously the Labor Day weekend, but the following weekend, hey, that's not looking too bad at all, as we'll see things there looking pretty good for next weekend. So something to look forward to, to say the least. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the climate outlook, which was updated here yesterday, reflecting that cool down coming our way here across areas of the New England, the mid-Atlantic states. You see a big swath of blue here, even across the deep south with below normal temperatures. Big heat here out in the west, and it's unfortunately going to have a lot of heat advisories out here as we go in from September 4th through the 8th. Some very warm temperatures there, and we continue with the below normal temperatures even on the 6 to 12 day outlook. So we're going to be seeing a trough here in the east. Got to watch this closely, and the reason why that's important is because we got any kind of trough that can act as a tug to pull up any kind of potential tropical system if it's coming in out of the Gulf. If it's coming off the eastern seaboard, it's further out, it'll curve anything tropical back out to sea. So I'm going to be watching that very closely. Still very warm and muggy here and hot out here in the west from days 6 through the 12th and going into September. Above normal precipitation across the south, but most of the west, obviously, where the heat is going to be building, and across the areas of the Great Lakes, we'll be looking at below normal precipitation from the 4th through the 8th. And that trend generally continues from the 6th to the 12th here across the Great Lakes in portions of the South Central Plains. A little bit of above normal precipitation here along the eastern seaboard. Remember, we were spinning up that low pressure system coming up the eastern seaboard on the tail end of that model run we were looking at here as that goes into, say, the 7th and 8th. So that'll increase the precipitation chances there across the east coast for those days. So anyway, looks like we're in store for some pretty decent weather here as we go into the following weekend. I'm looking forward to that. I'm in northeast Georgia, so looking forward to seeing some of that fall-like air kind of working its way down into my neck of the woods. And I know you folks out in the West, you're going to deal with that heat that's going to be building in. You've had a little bit of some pretty nice fall-like weather out there in the West for the last week or so, but that's going to change. You got to pay the piper. You got to get back to that. And of course, the tropics is going to be very active and busy, and I'm going to continue to monitor this every day. So continue to look for those daily updates right here on the channel. I try to put them out every day as best I can. And if you'd like to have that as part of your YouTube feed, please just subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you learn on future content. And as always, I appreciate any feedback. You got anything you'd like to suggest, you'd like to see included in the product, please just leave a comment down below. All right, that'll do it for your Friday update. Until we meet again, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.